random photo of today.
No,
It's a cyber.
ooh, yeah, it's half shot, half machine.
It's a robot.
Yeah.
Chatbot.
I'm a big fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, though. I like Curb.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I think everything post Seinfeld has proved that Larry David was the funny one, to me.
Yes.
And one thing I hate in shows is laugh tracks, which to me is kind of like when you're talking about the problem of going to a comedy club and there's this group consciousness of things. It's like you resent, like when everybody's laughing, it's like you resent it. Like you're being peer pressure to laugh.
Yeah.
And you sit there watching most sitcoms and there's this, I don't even remember what it was. I watched some god-awful sitcom a while ago and I just sat there. I think I only gave it like 10 minutes and I'm just like, I don't really understand how any of these were jokes. And so I gave up, because they have that big laugh track going.
Actually, since you brought up Curb, I want to mention that's like if I have a persona, which is like I'm just.
You're the on camera. You're the Brian Staker as opposed to the real life Brian Staker, Larry David style.
Yeah, and I model my sense of humor just since this recently. I mean, in the few years since I've seen it, I don't know, it's kind of changed. But what I do, I just want to say this: what I do on the show is really. I don't want to say model, but really influenced by Larry David a lot. Just what he does is so. I find him one of the most awkward people I've ever seen on TV. For one thing.
That's.
And what he does on the show, the dialogue and how he acts on the show. I mean, sometimes it goes like over the line from awkward into just being an asshole, But a lot of times it's just. The difference is when it's awkward, it means he's kind of being assy, but you still have some empathy, a little bit at least of empathy.
Yeah, you can usually go, he's right, but he's approaching this in the wrong way socially, type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, what I love is, a lot of the time it's just like, oh, Larry, why are you such a dick? But 1 out of 4 times, it's just like, what? Larry was totally right. Everybody was...
If you watch like the first season or so, they really didn't have the tone right at first, like a lot of TV shows don't.
Oh yeah, it takes a while to figure out what you're doing.
Because they needed him to be, I mean that's a gutsy move because they have to do it just right or there's no empathy to make him, at first it was just like he was kind of being picked on and he was a victim and that was not very interesting.
It kept just this convoluted, like that's the main thing I can see comparing it to Seinfeld. Because in Seinfeld you'd have a couple plots and they'd always somehow come back together.
Yeah.
And so that happens on Curb too.
It starts to be, but that's the thing in TV now, the plot lines, people are more sophisticated, not in terms of taste or aesthetics, but they demand more sophisticated plots.
That was skillful, Bailey.
They demand more sophisticated plots than it used to be like. One of my favorite TV shows of all time, Gilligan's Island. Stuff like that. Gilligan's Island, Brady Bunch. It's what passed for a plot line then. And it was not just simplistic, but kind of ludicrous. Just silly, implausible shit.
Yeah, the stuff that, like these days, a show would be described as like really absurdist was standard comedy in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, back in the 50s, then it was like on I Love Lucy, which is supposed to be this great show that I never really cared for. The plot lines it's just silly. It's silly shit.
No.
Because partly it's cultural, but the way they react to things, some little thing goes wrong and her husband would just flip out. It's like, it's just weird,
Oh, it gets really contrived and, you can start to see the pattern in it. Oh, Lucy, what's his name? Desi Arnaz? His name Desi? I guess. Yeah, he told Lucy to do something, and then she wouldn't do it exactly how she was supposed to, and then she'd try to fix the situation, and it would look like it's going a lot worse, but then at the end, oh, it turned out even better than anybody could have expected. Yeah, gotta... Well, that's one thing I remember thinking that I'd make a terrible, like if I was like the star of a real-life sitcom about me, I'd be a terrible character. Because, you know, my wife would be like, I need you to do this, and I'd be like, alright. And then, you know, go to commercial, come back, did you do it? And I'm like, well, I said I would, didn't I?
Did you
and
do
then
it? Did you really? Would you really have done it?
Yeah, I'd really have done it, and there'd be no conflict, and then I wouldn't have to lie to cover up, like, oops, uh-oh, you know, where are you going? To drink with my friends? And I was going to go drink with my friends, as opposed to, where are you going? Oh, I gotta work late,
Maybe
honey, on the Big O Johnson project.
You're not married, because you're too honest.
Yeah, maybe.
Women are looking for someone to deceive them. No, I'm kidding.
No, I don't know. I mean, I gotta go with what Doc Brown says in Back to the Future 3. You know, when he decides to give up time travel, because he's going to research the greatest scientific mystery of all time, women.
Okay, I've got to read a liner again.
Ooh, all right, yeah.
Okay. I got to read this thing because they have to, like, I have to send this to them and they can hear it that I did it, you know. So that anyway, this is kind of long for you, the listeners of Awkward Hour podcast. Look, pointed at me. I haven't pointed at me all this time. I need the light. For you, the listeners of the Awkward Hour podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 14-day trial to give you a chance to check out their service. Personally recommend an audiobook of your first... Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I recommend this one. Looks good. Bite Me by Christopher Moore. That sounds awkward. I recommend that book at audible.com. And let your audience know you can get your pick of another audiobook free by trying audible.com. This is it's a great service. You like audiobooks?
Sure.
That sounded real.
Well, they're great to go to sleep to. Because you end up having dreams that take place like partially influenced by the plot of the book.
Yeah, here, let's just get on to our little Philip K. Dick hobby horse.
Okay.
And here's the one book I would recommend if you're a fan of Philip K. Dick, if you read his books. It's called, I can't think of the name. You're Alive and I'm Dead, or I'm Dead, I'm Alive and You're Dead. Or something. Let me just look it up.
Yeah, that's not ringing a bell.
It's a biography. Have you read his biography by the journalist Paul Williams?
Yeah, that's Philip K. Dick is Dead Alas? No, that's a fictional book.
Is Dead Alas?
Is Dead Alas. There's a fiction.
Dead Alas. That would be good.
What is it called? I've read that book. I know what you're talking about. Can't remember what it's called. It's great. You get to learn about all of his issues of guilt over his dead twin sister that died in the womb or something, or died, she was like a couple weeks old, and that's why he has all these issues with his mother. And see, I can prove that I read it. I can talk about it.
There you go.
Yeah. And he's been doing uppers since he was like 12. So.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah. They were prescribed for the most part.
Oh, come on.
Life and Death? No, that's too obvious.
You can see Minority Report. Oh, I was thinking...
Divine Interventions, something... Is that what it's called? Divine Interventions?
The priest?
No, that's the Divine Invasion, no.
Divine Invasion,
no.
Timothy Archer. See, I know
the Transmigration of Timothy Archer. Transmigration,
okay,
yeah. The Divine Invasions is another book. That's part of the Valis trilogy. That's the worst one in it.
Is that the last one?
No, that's the middle one.
Okay, we're going to...
What is it? I think the book might be called Divine Invasions, colon something something.
You know what I was
Dick.
thinking? I was thinking of the one I thought I wish they would make a movie of, The Man in the High Castle.
Oh yeah.
I think that will be interesting. Where the Nazis and the Japanese won World War II.
And the Japanese take the West Coast, the Germans take the East Coast, and I think Utah would be part of the demilitarized zone.
They would get back at us by putting us in internment camps, probably. Anyway.
No, in the book they didn't. But they had marijuana cigarettes, so that's practically the same thing. I mean, drugs are slavery.
Did you see Scanner Darkly, that movie?
Yeah.
With the rotoscope animation? Yeah. What did you think of that?
It's as close as they've come.
To a book?
Yeah, I mean, before that, the closest was Minority Report, because at least Tom Cruise had a drug problem.
It's about the only Tom Cruise movie I can watch at all.
Well, the big problem to me, like every one of them, is, and that's one of the things that Scanner Darkly got right, or closest to, is that the protagonist is usually just some loser thrown into a crazy situation out of his control.
Yeah,
and that got turned into Arnold Schwarzenegger, a superstar, or Harrison Ford's sex symbol, and it's just like, this is not how this stuff was like in the book at all.
Okay, Divine Invasions is also the title of the biography.
Yes.
But there's this other. Come on, where is it?
Oh, you're talking about the book that's a collection of his autobiographical pieces and
It's
parts of the Exegesis? Because that shit'll make you crazy reading up to that. Well, if I was going to recommend a Philip K. Dick book to the good people at audible.com, I'd go Valis. Great book.
Oh, it's getting off in the deep end, that one. I like his early ones, and then...
the earlies are a little bit too much like trying to be sci-fi cutesy. I like as soon as he started getting into...
But what's great about his is, like, a couple of friends have given me a couple of those. If you find, like, these, like, 50s, 60s, like, pulp novel, I mean...
like when they're two-sided books, you get the Philip K. Dick solo lottery on one side.
Go online and look up, like, on philipkdick.com, and you look up some of those book covers. Like, they're, like, really collectible if you could get a first edition. And they have that goofy, like, 60s sci-fi artwork.
There's lots of cool artwork on that site, because they've got the covers from... He's been translating to so many different languages, you get to see these.
Okay, here's the book I was trying to think of, okay? See if they have that on...
Audible?
I'm not telling you, I'm saying to the audience, this Emmanuel Carrere. It's I Am Alive and You Are Dead, A Journey into the Mind of Philip K. Dick.
Oh, no, I haven't read that one.
I recommend that.
Oh.
It talks about more like what...
Is it better than the Bike Club by Christopher Moore?
What?
Isn't that what you just recommended?
No. What are you talking about?
What was that Christopher Moore book you recommended? You were reading copy?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, of course not, because the Christopher Moore book is a bestseller, but this is for your Philip K. Dick Jones, or your Philip K. Jones Dick. No, Philip K. Dick. Your Jones and Flip.
If you know what 2378 means, check that book out.
2378.
It was February to March of 1978 when he had the Valis experiences.
He was full on schizophrenic by that time, wasn't he?
He was losing it, and the last handful of books he wrote was all him trying to explain his own insanity to himself, basically.
That's just an amazing project for a writer that I can't think of another writer who's actually tried to do that. This book, because this is what I'm reading, like on Amazon, that talks about it, really gets inside his head. I'm Alive and You Are Dead, A Journey into the Mind of Philip K. Dick. Okay. Do you have an awkward book, just book random in general, that you want to recommend?
Just randomly?
Well, that's what I asked you earlier. You don't have to if you don't...
No, I responded to your question earlier.
Okay.
And then I feel if I
I've
If
got.
I said that, it wouldn't be random.
Okay, let me. Well, I don't care if it's random.
Oh, all right.
Let me just read the emails.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I sent this out to my email list about the show and asked for their responses. Okay, my friend D. Wolf, who's been on the show a couple of times, I asked the question, what's your most awkward book or most awkward reading experience? And he said, honestly, he thought it was one of mine, my little books of poetry I put together. And I'd have to give him some prize for that self-serving.
Sycophant.
Okay, Jan Haworth, who's been on the show, and she did lives here part of the time, but she's the British artist. She won a Grammy along with her husband at the time. They did the cover of the Sgt. Pepper album for the Beatles.
Oh.
She wrote in and said, Ping, I could do the British accent there. Ping by Beckett, read aloud by Richard, her husband, to 9 to 12-year-olds in school. And Paradise Lost is pretty awkward for a 17-year-old agnostic.
For a 17-year-old what?
Agnostic. And
why would that?
and
Oh, alright. Okay.
Said, I don't know. And The Trial on the Castle by Kafka. And I was going to say, I have a number of awkward books I could list. But I think, which was it where he turns into a bug?
The Metamorphosis?
The Metamorphosis. I'd have to say the Metamorphosis might just round out, like they say in game show lingo, that might just close out the round as far as awkward books, be the most awkward book ever written. Maybe. I don't know. I just had a couple of other... where is it? Oh, my friend David Smith wrote in. He was on the very first episode of the Awkward Hour, and he had an interesting selection for the most awkward book he's read. He names William Burroughs' Naked Lunch, which that's a pretty awkward one too.
Oh, so me and him were kind of close. I went Burroughs too.
Yeah. What one is it that you said?
I read I think it was the City of the Red Knight.
Oh, you answered that in the email.
Yeah.
You didn't answer it on the show because I was...
Yeah, when you first brought it up on the show, you said we'll talk about it later. But yeah, my answer in the email was the City of the Red Knight, but it's not that the experience of reading it was awkward. Like the reading, I don't really understand how reading a book could be awkward.
Because you're just in your own head. You're not like say for example, watching a movie, you're in a theater with a bunch of other people, you're having a communal experience.
Yeah, but how can it be awkward in your own head? That sounds like stepping stone to depression. Like, as long as you feel okay, you're not going to be awkward with your own thoughts, unless you have...
Some people are awkward with their own thoughts, just in their head.
But, so yeah, the reason I thought, because I didn't read the entire book, because it's one of his longer ones, but I probably read 100 pages or so of it.
Read the whole book.
Oh, I read the whole book.
No, that's one that I started, of a couple of books that I've started.
Well, I don't watch Lost, but I'm guessing it ended the same. Nothing's really resolved at the end of City of the Red Knight. And, you get to the end of it and you're just like, okay, so is that an opium dream? A play children were putting on? I mean, there's all these, it jumps around, there's tons of options for what kind of nonsense you were just reading.
It's one of those that I just, Victor wanted, I'm slow, and instead of the chat room, Victor is texting me. He wanted me to turn the show, they're gone now.
Oh, those people?
Well, not only like we're doing a show, but
No, hold on, let me try to say it more condescending. Like,
homework.
those people?
Yeah, well, there are people obviously doing homework or doing, you know, there's whatever. Anyway, anyway, Christ. I was just going to say, Cities of the Red Knight is one of those books that I
started and never finished?
Yeah, started and never finished. Like that sentence I started and didn't exactly finish it because you jumped in and finished it.
I'm rude like that.
Okay. See, it looks like the feed is frozen here, but then I have to refresh. And we're like going almost an hour and a half. So that's an odd gesture. I look at like little gestures that people make, like it's just because acting is a lot about that. Are you recording, like, does that do video?
Yeah.
Are you recording video?
Yeah, I got 20 minutes.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah. So if somebody had way too much time on their hands, they could edit together parts of this to have the camera focusing on me or whatever your camera's doing, and then whatever my camera's doing, split screen it.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of time to have in your hands.
I'm trying to refresh the monitor and make sure that we actually are going out. But Victor is supposed to text me if there's any problem. He said it sounded like they were wrestling. I mean, they practically were. I mean, just when they jumped off the couch and...
For a second there, yeah.
Yeah. I gotta ask,
You're asking Victor if it's up?
Yeah. Did it freeze? Is it up? Anything, just what my head is at, it's like anything it's like, no, that sounds sexual. No, did it freeze? Is it up? It's like, oh, no, that sounds...
That says more about you than me, man. Yeah.
That's not how I wanted to come off. Oh.
Hey, come on. Come on.
I guess it wasn't a colossal mistake doing the show again. I mean, doing the show again with you.
Yeah, I was going to have to say, like, slow down on the flattery.
Every week.
It was not a colossal.
Lost to me.
It was not a... No, I'll let that go. Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to let go. That's like... Yeah, I think of jokes and stuff like you're not on Facebook, are you?
No. I used to be. I was on Facebook for a couple months or so.
I was looking back here, Skuro has a page, and it's like I'm the only one that's written on it practically.
Yeah, yeah. I Google myself sometimes in a non-sexual manner, and I see that.
See, the video froze. And I knew, because the, whatever.
Alright, you like terrible prepared bits?
Yeah, terrible prepared bits.
Yeah. No, I just run this one past you. It's a bit of a joke I came up with a little while ago. You know, feel free to respond as dishonestly as possible.
Oh boy, this sounds like some real shtick about to happen.
Yeah, this is gonna be a bit alright. So, now one problem with this bit is that it kind of involves going into a character. Like, I think it would work better as, you know, if you're up there doing stand-up. It's not one of those jokes you can just go, hey man, have you heard this one? And then you launch into it.
Yeah.
But that's how it's going to go down anyways.
Okay.
So, Brian,
Yeah.
I'm talking to you. You know, you should pay attention to me, man. Because
Okay.
I'm one person you don't want to fuck with. You want to know why? Want to know why? No, I'll tell you
Yeah,
why.
I do why.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. You know, I used to have this friend, real good friends. You know, we were close, tight. You know, we were like brothers. You know, I would have died for this asshole, but he crossed me, and you shouldn't cross me. And so,
What happens when people cross you?
well, so I came up with this great plan. Okay, I was gonna fuck his mother. Right?
Okay.
Like, that's what's going to happen if you cross me.
How did that work out?
Well, the trouble is I got drunk and I accidentally fucked my own mother. But you should have seen his face when I showed him the pictures. Oh yeah, I showed him. I showed him all right.
Jesus.
Yeah, so there you go. That's a bit I've got.
That, if you do stand-up, that will...
Yeah, that's something I've been workshopping.
What's your response? A workshop is like where you go and like you do it for other people.
Yeah, I've told that joke to a few people.
How did it go over?
Yeah, one person had me put me on speaker so I could tell it to a room, but they sounded pretty high. They were all at a grow operation, so.
How to grow it? What's that?
I think it's where you grow daffodils or something for profit in Northern California. I'm not sure what they were growing. I didn't ask. Yeah, so I mean, if you like awkward moments, I've told that joke to two of my sisters. Yeah. Let's see. Might have a one-liner with me. So,
Okay, I think I'm going to stop and start the show again.
that's a good idea.
See if that works. You think?
Yeah, occasionally.
What are you writing? Oh, hold on, we're off, so don't... Oh, no, actually, I think we are still on. I didn't kill the feed yet. I didn't kill the feed.
Well, you were going to restart it,
Okay,
right?
the speed, I told you, like, before you got here, the speed was like 1,000.
Alright.
And then it went down to
A third.
60. It went down a third, but then
To
it
an
went down
eighth?
further. No.
Oh.
It went down like to one... It went down to 69. 69.
You just got to drag this back into the gutter, don't you?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Whoever came up with that term probably had never done the actual act. It doesn't quite make sense. I get what they're going at.
You get the concept?
Yeah, I understand the idea, you know, but it doesn't quite check out.
Isn't it?
I don't know, it might.
It might. We're not going now, it's dead.
Yeah.
Actually,
No, I'm pretty important too. I can pretend to do
Victor
things.
said it was a good show until it died. Look what I can do. Check this out. You may have seen this before.
Now what can you do?
Okay, that first part of it saying an hour and a half, 90 minutes. 19.
Oh.
But check this out.
I like your symbol for T.
This stuff is effed up. Look at this. Oh, 19. You do it.
Yeah.
I can. Okay. It's going. It's going. From here, it's going.
Yeah, it's going from there.
It's going.
Yeah, right there. It's going from there. Yeah, you went off there for a while last time. But the trouble is when you go off there, it doesn't save, right? But you're still broadcasting.
Sure, it saves.
Oh, it saves from there too.
Yeah,
So you're on part 2.
Yeah, part 2. I really needed that one.
This is where we explore the themes of part 1 and build toward a general conflict that will arise in part 3 and be
resolved.
Right.
Or if it's like Lost or one of those shows, it will be just like left hanging so that we can...
I don't know, I never got into Lost, so, but I understand that's what it was like.
That's exactly what it was like.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta move stuff, like, do like the drink thing, because, yeah.
Is this convincing as great Powerade?
Don't show the logo.
No. Sorry. Grape energy thing.
Beverage.
Does this look grape?
Yeah, here, do 3D, like, in case they're wearing 3D. Oh, that's good. Because, okay, put it down. That's enough. Stop it. Stop it. Put it down. I'm not looking at you. I'm not.
No, you're not looking at me.
No. I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at you.
If you don't look at it, it's not happening.
Okay, but the thing is, when you move, it's like it's like LSD tracers. It's like you can see the lines.
LSD?
Such bad video quality. You act like you
Jeez. There's really nothing about our mutual acquaintances that would make me think otherwise. Yeah, for a split second I was thinking about bringing some Pez, but then I thought, you know, you probably have to drive home, so that wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Pez?
Yeah.
Is that what you use?
That's what I recently had distributed to me through a Pez dispenser.
That's what you call it. That's the terminology.
I thought it was just somebody trying to be doing the code for quite a while, and then when I got it, I'm like, well, I'll be damned, it's on Pez. The letters P-E-Z. It was written on the tiny piece of candy.
It was on Pez.
Right, the letters.
No, but it was on the Pez too.
The P and the it
was on the Pez.
No. You see, Paul's daughter drew a picture.
Who?
Paul's daughter drew a picture, and he said, "What is that?" And she said, "That's Lucy in the sky with diamonds." It has nothing to do with drugs.
Really don't know what you're talking about.
McCartney. Paul McCartney, the Beatles song, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. You know, for some reason I remember...
Every time you move your head, it's like you're getting these lights, like in your glasses, and every time you move your head, it's like the lights reflecting in your glasses. I can do it by moving...
If it helps,
No.
It's a great moment in the Blues Brothers when he takes off his glasses and does the puppy eyes to Carrie Fisher.
Yeah. One more reason to crush on Carrie Fisher.
Well then, yeah. Postcards from the Edge. It's such a great title.
Yeah, it is. And best of all, it's all true.
Yeah. And isn't it comforting to know if we ever get into space that there are no bras in space?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's comforting to know.
There's no need without gravity. right?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to have them, or
That there's no bras in space? I don't... So they've got fake gravity. They're not bumping into the ceiling all the time in those movies. And yet, no bra... Yeah. I don't know. George Lucas was pretty young, I guess. I'll cut him some slack.
George Lucas.
Did I say lupus? I don't think so.
No, I did.
Oh, well, not bad then.
Well, can you believe it's like 9:15 already?
Yeah, I got a pretty open mind about time.
Does it exist or not?
That's a bullshit question.
Yeah, it exists. The words define it and define exist. Post-Clintonian linguistic analysis.
Well, I saw this, I can't remember the dude's name, but this guy who is currently, that part's not important. I saw this guy on Charlie Rose a couple days ago, and he's this CEO, or one of the main guys behind the company, and he was talking all this...
Behind what company?
Intellectual Ventures.
What's that?
It's a whole bullshit shim-sham operation, but...
Shim-sham? What? I don't know.
I think I coined a term, shim-sham. It's kind of like a flim-flam, but more people are involved.
Is it like shim-sham?
It might be, I don't know what that is. But one of the questions Charlie Rose asked him was, you know, if you could know the answer to any question, what question would it be? And he said, where does time and space come from? And my head exploded. I'm like, what kind of fucking question is that? What do you mean, where? Does time, space, where? What kind of...
You assume
That's a nonsense.
You assume like a
If space comes from a place, where does that place come from? That's a that's a bullshit
You know what I
question.
would have said? You know what I would have said?
No, yeah,
I
what?
would have said, he said like, if you could know the answer to any
Well, I don't remember exactly how Charlie Rose phrased it.
But let me
Okay,
just
yeah.
phrase it this way. If you could know the answer to any question, what would it be? I would say, that one.
See, that's not bad. No. But really, when you think about it, the first
The
million...
proper answer to the one that guy picked is for Charlie Rose is to laugh maniacally. But that's kind of a Zen Buddhist thing or something.
To laugh maniacally?
Or, like, I don't know.
To have bullshit abstract questions that don't make sense? I mean, I don't know if I'm just picking it apart as an English sentence, but where does time-space come from? From space? Where? I don't know how you work your way out of that one, but...
Yeah, I think the feed is working now.
I know if I name dropped Charlie Rose a couple of times, everything would come together.
Charlie Rose. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
You're a fan of David Foster. Speaking of writers, David Foster Wallace.
No, not familiar.
Okay, here's a book that's hard. We're talking about big books that you start reading and never, like the Moby Dick of postmodernism. His book, Infinite Jest. Infinite Jest.
Jest. Alright. Huh.
Well, he was a very interesting writer, and I think he was a little autistic and or Asperger's. But look up on YouTube and or online and try to find. He was on Charlie Rose. This was a long time ago. Like, he's dead now, but it was like in '93 or something.
David Foster Wallace?
Yeah, it's one of those like 1,500-page books. Just this huge.
No, 15. I wrote words. Did you say words? There's no way it's 1,500 words.
Book pages. Yeah, 1,500.
Like 1,500 words, yeah, that's a book.
Sometimes I like to write one word on a page. Really,
Yeah.
if it's a real important one. You know. Of course. Why wouldn't you?
funny how the whole concept of trying to write by the word changes when you, I don't know, get older and get more used to writing or something. Because I was talking to my youngest sister a while ago, and some random essay assignment, how long does it have to be? It was like so many thousand words, and I'm like, well, that shouldn't take you that long. It just seems like, oh, you know, writing an essay. You know, when it's like a school pattern assignment, it's like, that's not...
You know how to pad and gas.
Well, that's what you do in those. That's the whole exercise. As long as you speak English and you can translate that to paper, and then pad the hell out of it.
And big words don't hurt.
No. I mean, unless you put them somewhere they shouldn't go.
Like where?
Well, if they're misused, you know. I've got a friend of mine, one of my pet peeves with him is that sometimes when he gets all drunk or high or whatever, he'll start going into like a loop, like he's talking in essay format. Like he'll start saying, hey Brian, oh, I really want to tell you about this. This is what I really want to tell you about. And you're like, okay,
hey,
go ahead.
Start telling that over because it was like interrupted and I had to restart it. So start telling
Sure.
again.
Yeah. My buddy Art, he does this thing. Art?
Oh, I thought you said Eric. I thought maybe it was like a multiple personality thing.
No, his name's Arthur. Yeah. He does this thing that gets on my nerves, and he knows this because we're friends. Yeah. Where he'll start talking as if it's an essay. He would start telling you.
How does that work? Do it like someone told sleep.
He'll be like really manic and excited about that. I'm going to tell you about this.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. You know, pick anything. I'm going to tell you about this. This is what I'm going to tell you about. And you're like, okay, all right, man, yeah. Like, I'll listen to you. I'm hip to it. Like, what do you want to tell me about? Go for it. Then he'll tell you about it. And then he'll be like really excited about that he just told you about it. And then he'll talk about how he just told you about it. And you just feel like putting a bullet through your brain because you're like, we've gone through this 3 fucking times, man. Like, first you told me you were going to tell me. You know, the whole essay format of, like, in this paper, I will attempt to show that, blah, 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 blah. And then it's just like, example 1, as I told you about, now an entire padded paragraph about example 1. Example 2, example 3, now to close, I will rephrase.
That manic quality, essays don't have. I wish, like, essays had that manic quality to it, you know.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Yeah.
It would be weird. Maximum, see look, maximum
10 hours.
And we're at like, so that's like 10.
Yeah, we're at about 2, so I guess we could go up to 10.
Oh God, sometime I'm gonna, you know what I did one time?
What's the longest one you've ever done?
Okay, this counts, even though I didn't save it, but what I did was, I did the show. I think it was one of those where I just sat there drinking a bottle and ranting, you know, just by myself. And then after, I did that thing where there used to be like webcams where people would have like just the camera on and you could see in their house and they'd be sleeping or their dog or whatever while they were at work.
Well, they're just pressing their breasts together for an hour.
Yeah, I did that and it was just kind of dark and the camera on. I have to go see, maybe that did save, but it was like, afterward I thought, that was the most pointless, that's not even interesting by my weak standards.
You've got standards. Like I said, might be weak, but you do have standards.
Actually, they're lofty, but fairly eccentric, is the thing. I mean, that's like Andy Warhol, where he filmed like some real,
you know,
like,
that stuff, it gets into the realm of, I'm like, the whole point of what I'm doing is that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Beyond, it's just...
There's an element of that to what I'm doing.
Yeah, but I mean, like how many people really sat there and watched, what was it, like 15, 24 hours of just the Empire State Building? I bet everybody who sat through that all methed up, who thought they were the coolest, artsiest motherfucker in town.
I don't know if they had meth back then or if it was just...
Well, uppers, yeah.
Coked up.
Sure.
Whatever.
Jeez, can you imagine how much you'd have to spend on coke to watch that?
Yeah, that makes the ticket of the film ultimately quite a lot higher.
Yeah, that would be really expensive. You got any more plugs to do? I think I'm gonna go steal a mirror.
Steal a mirror.
Yeah, it's a Kurt Vonnegut joke.
What does that mean?
Take a leak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll do my plugs.
Alright.
Well, thanks. I guess we're wrapping up the show. It worked, sort of, for a while. Remember my sponsors. Go to audiblepodcast.com/theawkward for your let me remind you again, today's podcast is brought to you by audible.com. Free audio Audible podcast. For your life. Wonderful.
It wasn't, I don't know you can do all
A lot of these awkward books need stuff. So I'd go to that right now. And slugmag.com, the other sponsors. 15bytes.org, that's 150. Okay, we're going to see if you have anything else.
If I have anything else?
That you want to say.
Oh, why are you wrapping up?
Well, there I can see, that's right, I can see the chat on this phone. I can see but not respond, which is a problem.
How's the chat going?
Victor says they were probably on lewds, not coke.
Oh, alright.
And I guess he's referring to the
Quaaludes.
Warhol film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. There are three, so I don't know who the other one is. See, I count as one viewer.
And then there's Victor, and then there's a third.
Okay, thank you, whoever the third, because
That's kicking up your Nelson score. So next time you get an advertiser, you get to charge them more.
every time a viewer, that's what's great about when you start out like that, because every time one more person tunes in, it's like a whole order of magnitude almost. Not really, but I mean, it's,
Oh, I see where you're going. Yeah.
see where I'm going. Okay. Anything else you want to say?
Are you wrapping up the show? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's after 9. You just needed to go to the bathroom. You didn't mean to wrap up the show just for me to say filler, right?
Huh? Yeah,
I thought you were, no, you didn't want me to stop the show.
No, that's not where I was going, but I'm not going to push you into continuing it beyond its normal length.
Well, let's just see if anything else you want to talk about. I thought that was pretty interesting. Victor seemed to like it. I think these are pretty interesting. Look, we're just at 2 hours.
And that's about 15 minutes before you started streaming. Because we started late.
Yeah, that's right. You started late.
Yeah, I was only a couple minutes late. I got here before 7, but definitely after 6:30.
You got there. Yeah, as long as you're here by 7, you're not counted late.
Oh, thanks. I don't want to have to make up more, what they call that, citizenship credits?
Okay, there are already 3 little segments, but you know, the first one
Was
like an hour and a half. So when I have that, I kind of count if they're like one huge block and then 2 little, I count the one big one as, unless there's some huge gem of wisdom that comes out, I usually count the big one kind of as just show, and the others are just kind
there's a bonus material.
kind of things. And I've got that clip on here of you telling your joke. Wonderful. That'll be great. That'll be
Yeah.
do you have any movies that you're looking forward to, or books, movies, or anything?
Exactly.
I want to see that Iron Man movie. It's got Gary Shandling in it, so gotta see that.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
I'm really not. Besides that, I really wouldn't be interested in it. Those
No, I was surprised. I went in with low expectations in the first one. Thought it was okay, and yeah, I've just been disappointed in all the reviews
I like
for the
Robert
second
Downey.
one. I like him too. Yeah.
Darkly, he was good. Like the three of them.
Him and Woody and Keanu.
Yeah, what a picture of three like different sides of like these druggy.
Yeah, I think one of the like I say, I think that's as close as they've gotten to. But the movie still wasn't as funny as reading the book was. You know, like there were moments in the movie where it's just, you know, like there's that part where they're obsessing over how many gears are on the bike, and they're all fucked up so they can't figure it out.
That was very funny, yeah.
Yeah, but there's much more of those little like stoner, you know, like misunderstandings in the
I
book.
found that like the book is a little bit maybe darker, but the movie was like sadder.
Yeah, the book was more like a black comedy, and the movie went more just like straight up depressing. It like ended pretty down or something. I mean they did like after the movie ended, they streamed his little essay that was at the end of the book.
Yeah, and then it was like dedicated to all these people that died.
Yeah, and that's at the end of the book.
That was one of the most sad things I've ever seen.
Yeah, all the people who, you know, let's hope we can learn to play another way, type of thing. Yeah.
So look for your new, when do you hope, you don't have a timetable.
Well, you know, I started putting together
let's
like...
hold it up and let's show it. So,
I started putting together like the cover for the other one. I've had the cover completed for a while, and it says May on it.
who's the cover model on this one going to be?
Oh, I put myself on the cover for the second time.
Oh, that's you again.
No, that's not me. No, in the next issue.
On the cover for the second time. I thought you were making a joke.
Oh no, I was on the cover of like issue 21 or something.
Yeah. He honestly
Yeah.
he wasn't. I like.
But yeah, I was hoping to have it out in May because most of my stuff's done, but I'm waiting on other people. So hopefully June. Can't really say.
Well, I'll try and get you some stuff. And here, if you want to see if people, are you taking stuff if people send stuff in?
Yeah, always.
Okay, cool. Where do we send it to?
That's
Yeah, hold it up. Yeah. For those in the audience that read.
yeah, Kiaroscarazine at hotmail.com. Really proves how long we've been doing this. I mean, who has a Hotmail address anymore?
I do.
You still have one? Oh, is that the main one you use?
Get Steakerized.
Is that Hotmail?
While I'm at it, you can donate to my PayPal, Steakerized. That Hotmail address, donate to my PayPal. People can donate if they want.
I used to have a PayPal account. If anybody can figure out what email address is tied to it, you can give me money too. I won't object.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, thanks.
They need to have some like internet thing where just if there's loose money, it will just fall into these accounts just randomly. Because you know, like
people just walking down the street, just scanning change could go into it.
Yeah.
Just funnels into random accounts.
It's just to the end. I'll just say, here's what I'll say for my little cliche tagline at the end. I'll say, it's Philip K. Dick's world, and the rest of us just live in it. What do you think of that?
Well, have you seen? I don't know. I don't think much of it, I guess. But have you seen any of the documentaries about him?
Oh no, I need to what are those?
There's one that the BBC did that was pretty damn good, and then there's another one that was like an independent American movie, and I've got that one. Can't remember the title. Oh, The Gospel According to Philip K. Dick. And
when did that come out?
Late 90s, I'm guessing.
Does it have footage? Because I'd really like to see it. I've never really seen footage of him.
It has audio of him, and they animated him. Like there's an animated version of him at a keyboard.
Well, he was just so paranoid on drugs, he probably wouldn't let himself be filmed, right? Is that why?
I don't think there's that much filmed footage of him. I don't know if it was based on the paranoia.
but he wasn't famous during his lifetime. Right?
No,
Although
because
he won some science fiction awards for books, but that
yeah,
was
but back then that was much smaller than it would be now. You know,
Yeah.
the biggest thing that happened in his life was he saw a rough cut of Blade Runner and then he died.
Jesus.
You know, so after, I mean, his kids are wealthy. Like he was never that well off, and after he died, they've made tons of movies and whatnot based on his stuff. But one of my favorite Philip K. Dick quotes, and this won't be verbatim, is that whoever controls the meaning of words controls reality. It's something like that, give or take. You know, I've just always, because you know, there's people who try to manipulate meaning. You know, you say something and it'll be true, and then they'll be like, no, this is how I'm taking it, and now that's what's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess what was this, the Philip K. Dick theme episode?
It turned out that way.
Yeah, you gotta have a theme.
See, that's one of my obsessions. Just one of, like, that I could, at any time, that's something I could get onto and just go off on that and talk about it.
Philip K. Dick or theme episodes?
No, Philip K. Dick.
I think that wasn't necessarily a facetious question. You would do a show, you might be really into themed shows.
Yeah, I see it.
You just kind of rolled your eyes a little bit, and it wasn't totally wrong.
That's...
But no... Well, okay, you said you thought like Valis was too far into his crazy zone. One of my other favorites is We Can Build You. Have you read that one?
No, I haven't read that one. Is there a movie based on that?
No. It's kind of like a prequel to Duander's Dream of Electric Sheep in a way, because it's like the Rosen family start to invent robots.
Yeah.
And there's some rich guy who wants them to make robots to reenact the Civil War on the moon. It's got that zany edge to it, but then it's got the main character who falls in love with the dark-haired, slender, little girl, and she's nuts. And is she more human than the great Abraham Lincoln android they make? Like, how do you define humanity? She's so cold and indifferent, and Lincoln cares. It's good stuff. That was a good one. I've read that one a few times. So.
I'll have to read that one. I like the titles.
Yeah, it's strange. Like so many of them have such great titles that probably the editors came up with. But they were like, when they turn into a movie, how is Total Recall a better title than We Can Remember It for Your Horse Sale? On what planet is Total Recall a better title? And if you say Mars, you might be right.
I'll tell you why. Just from their point of view, from the Hollywood point of view, is
too long.
Too long. That's all there is. Too long. Total Recall is just, movies are like, it has to be a really simple, like practically one-word title now, or just like
that's
3-4 words at the most.
To me, I think the best thing about Talladega Nights, the story of Ricky Bobby, whatever it was,
is how long it is.
Was how long the title was.
Yeah.
I just thought, like, based on the title alone, I'm like, I can't believe he's getting it made with such a long title. I'll go check it out.
Yeah, but I think they truncated, and it's kind of just Talladega Nights.
That's usually what they,
It's the same, yeah. Anyway, so, well, I guess we're about done. I thought that was really interesting.